Remember this film? Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. Anyone who lived through the 80s would remember the Queen of Halloween, Elvira. But do you remember her 1988 feature film?
There she was, just walking down the street singing.
This Elvira is a slimy, slithering succubus, a concubine, a streetwalker, a tramp.
Yes, she's got it all. She's everything you've ever wanted in a movie. A woman and a casserole.
She was walking next to me singing.
You'll see lots of weird romance.
What's that perfume you're wearing?
Super unleaded. Don't smoke.
Loads of drooling madness.
Ew, I hope you change the sheets.
Hey, Elvira, we got us a couple more volunteers.
Great! Just grab a tool and start banging.
A whole gang of awesome monsters.
I'm bad, Jamal, you know it.
And a few sleazy experiments.
And there's nothing wrong with G-rated movies as long as there's lots of sex and violence.
The charge is witchcraft.
We ought to have one of these every year.
See Elvira. As Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
But if they ever ask about me, tell them I was more than just a great set of...
It's the greatest double feature of all time.
Although the film debuted in 1988, the Elvira character had been around for quite some time. She started as a local horror hostess on a television show called Movie Macabre.
Hello, darling. Elvira, Mistress of the Dark here, with a little reminder that Movie Macabre comes your way on Saturday nights at 8, Sunday at 4. I'd love you to spend the weekend with me. Movie Macabre. It's a scream.
As popular as the Elvira character was at the time, the film sadly only brought in $5 million in the US box office. Since its release on video and DVD, the film has become somewhat of a cult classic. Unfortunately, there is no special features on the DVD release. The VHS, however, did have a making of at the end of the film.
I've always dreamed of doing this, and now I've got my chance. So excuse me while
The wicked, wacky wit of a beauty named Elvira has been bewitching viewers for the past few years.
I haven't had any complaints yet.
Now she's making her big screen bow. Entitled Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, the movie casts a whole new light on Nightmare Alley's dream girl.
Yeah, the big screen gives me a lot more room for expression, and it's also more comfortable because I was kind of like squished in that small television box, you know. But you do get to see more of me because I wear some rather brief costumes, as opposed to this turtleneck look. On TV, a lot of letter writers always say, Elvira, why do you only have one leg? But I finally wear like some short costumes so you get to see both of them.
You looking for me?
The movie, says Elvira, is autobiographical.
Well, it's a true story about my life. I was raised in an orphanage. Yeah, my mother had to drop me off there. It was like, I was the only kid in school that had to have like a size 38D pinafore. Ugh, puberty, don't talk to me about puberty. When I was in high school then, I was like the only girl in the whole yearbook that had a picture in the yearbook that folded out.
And tell him that when all is said and done, I only ask that people remember me by 2 simple words. Any 2 as long as they're simple.
This morning, on my regular tour of the boys' lavatory, I confiscated this.
I mean, I developed faster than a Polaroid. I was so young, and I tried out for the cheerleader, and I kept knocking myself out.
Let's do it. This Elvira is a person of easy virtue, purveyor of pulchritude, a one-woman Sodom and Gomorrah, if you will. A slimy, slithering succubus, a concubine, a streetwalker, a tramp, a slut, a cheap whore.
In this movie, I find out where my parents came from, a town that's sort of like Salem, and it's called Falwell, Massachusetts.
Listen, young lady, I don't know who you are or where you came from, but you most certainly don't fit in this town. Why, you don't even fit in that dress.
The people there are really like uptight, kind of preservatives, you know. So I come into town, and they're not so thrilled that I'm there.
2, 4, 6, 8,
I have to collect my aunt's inheritance. So finally I collect it, but it's not exactly what I've been dreaming about. I mean, it's just like a run-down house and a dog and this crummy book. The dog is a real scene stealer. I mean, the dog gets paid for like just doing stuff like sitting and like putting his hands over his eyes and going like this. You know, and I mean, I have to work so much harder and get the same money. I discover I have this uncle, and yeah, he's a pretty weird character.
He who holds the book of sight, when the moon is drained of all its light, will then be ruler of the night, master of the dark.
I scared her at the readings, actually. That's why I got the job. I sort of did a leer on her, and she sort of went, "Oh, God, you're creepy."
Elvira has one other enemy to cope
You're
with.
quite welcome.
You know, as I always say, morals aren't cheap. And speaking of cheap, a little birdie told me that Elvira woman is related to you.
There's one person in the town named Chastity Pariah who is the self-proclaimed upholder of the morals.
I can't remember when I've been this hungry.
This was the Morality Club Day picnic. And we're going to come here and have a very nice time, you know, and listen to Bringing in the Sheaves by the American Legion Band. And, of course, Elvira does a pretty turn with her crock pot of casserole. The crock pot turns out to be an aphrodisiac, so the town council gets into a pretty pickle.
Oh, boy. Am I a horn dog?
The Elvira world is a rather specialized one that has, she finds weird stuff attractive, and she finds strange stuff funny.
Roger Ebert called me a cross between Mae West and Vampirella. I think of myself more as a cross between, Anne Margaret and E.T.
As odd as the character is, and as much of a character as it is, she's still very human and vulnerable. And that's what really, I think, attracts all sorts of people, really. She has fans from 6 years old to 90 years old.
A lot of the plot depends on magic and fire and demonry and things like that. It's not as easy as it appears to do that sort of thing.
With all the explosions, creeps, crawlies, and monsters, is there anything that scares Elvira?
Yeah, doing this interview might do it.
Any last words?
Just one.
Although the film was not a commercial success, the Elvira character has survived till this day. In 2002, she starred in a new movie called Elvira's Haunted Hills. In 2007, she starred in her own reality TV show called The Search for the Next Elvira, in which 13 contestants would compete to see who would be the next Queen of Halloween. This goes to show you the Elvira character can truly stand the test of time. Same goes for the movie. It does have an 80s feel to it, but that's what gives it its charm. We hope this documentary has urged you to see Elvira's first movie, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. And as always, remember this film.